Okay, episode 122 of LEGO Marvel Avengers. Here we go. And we can see we are going to start off with a Agent Carter mission. So our typical rule for Agent Carter missions is that we start off and we always be Captain America.
This Daisy Clover milk farm and I have a long history. You wouldn't think that a seemingly innocent-looking place like this could hold such a terrible secret.
And now we're going back to the past to investigate the shady affairs of a milk farm. Milk farms have always been right up there on the list of devious organizations, along with chicken coops and other farms. So let's see where Agent Carter has in mind here. Interesting, it's the 1930s and we have motion sensors, or 1940s and we have motion sensors. So it doesn't look like Captain America is really going to do us much good here. Neither is the Black Falcon. So let's go switch to a character who can get by the stealthy stuff in the form of Miles Morales, the Ultimate Spider-Man. Right, so we've stealthed our way over here. We're going to break this car. Then we've got to build this lever. Unfortunately, you can see we need 2 levers to make this work, so we need to go find the other building materials, which appear to be in this red truck over here behind me. So we need to get into that truck in order to get to those materials. In the meantime, I'm just going to destroy everything that's around here. Ah, here we go. Found some acrobatic stuff. And now we pull this lever, and that gives us access to the other car that we break up to get more parts for the lever. Okay, it looks like we've got them now, so now we just need to build that. Get the second lever, and oh, the horror! The horror! Yeah, this was what that was all about. Not quite the poisoned milk problem.
Well, I certainly wouldn't have expected to find that. I suppose everything turned out all right in the end. I mean, yes, we did cause a small amount of property damage, but there's no use crying over spilled. What's that expression again?
Alright, that got us access to Blue Marvel. Now we can move on into the island of Manhattan and look at other things, like a race located not far away from where we were running around after the cows. For a timestamp on today's episode, it is May 11th. Mother's Day is just around the corner, so please remember to treat your mother right. And for all the people who happen to be married to mothers, please don't forget that Mother's Day is still a big day, even if your children have long grown up or are yet to be born. So, you know, make the extra effort. Guardians of the Galaxy 2 has been out in theaters now for about a week. Not seen it, planning to see it at some point in the future. certainly certainly will be expecting something different than Logan, which was my last superhero movie trip. Now we're going to bounce up to the helicarrier and form some sort of weird fire figure and cut over to a sky race. The Shield helicarrier over Manhattan has a couple of these sky races, and we're going to handle both of them here in this episode with the Black Falcon still sporting his his Golden State Warrior duds, which just tells you how long ago it was that this was actually recorded. And this first race, well, except that that's not the finish, that's actually the start to a different race. So we got to keep going around and around and around. You know, and for controls on these flying things that aren't terribly accurate, I'm still not a big fan of the races. I am glad that they are more achievable than some of the races in Lego Marvel Superheroes were. But there's still a lot going on here. And there looks like the finish line over the Quinjets. And we've unlocked the Shield mini-carrier vehicle, making its return. And now, since we did the first one, let's go ahead and grab the other one down here. And we're going to go up. In, I guess, other news, you know, we'll get political here for a second. The president has fired the FBI director. His stated reasoning for firing the FBI director had to do with Jim Comey's, or the FBI director Jim Comey's handling of the Hillary Clinton email investigation. Evidently, they didn't approve of the fact that Comey made certain aspects of that investigation public, like the July announcement where he said he couldn't recommend bringing charges against her, or the October announcement where he said, "Oh, we found more emails to investigate." That doesn't seem like an incredibly well thought out rationale, simply because those things, at least the second part of those things, advantaged candidate Trump in the election. And I think that it's has much more to do with Director Comey's inability or unwillingness, probably the second more than the first, to do away with the Russia investigation as a whole. And this is President Trump doing the only thing he really knows how to do, which is to fire people who don't do the things that he wants them to do. And whether or not you think that's a good idea probably goes back to your view of the president. Comey becomes only the second FBI director to ever be fired by the president. The first one was a guy by the name of William Sessions, who was fired by the Clinton administration for a bunch of ethical, lots of breaches of ethics. Dealing with making money on the position and those kinds of things. So, there's not a lot of background for firing an FBI director, and it certainly is an odd thing to do when one is investigating something that might lead back to the president, assuming that any of it's real. Again, I think that your viewpoint on this issue will probably be based on how you feel about President Trump. And if you like the way President Trump does things, then the fact that he's decided to dismiss Comey at any point will be satisfactory to you. Whereas if you had concerns about President Trump from the beginning, you're probably more likely to find something tangibly wrong with this. But we're just going to have to let it play out. The investigation will continue without Comey. Trump will have the opportunity to appoint a new FBI director who will then have his own decisions to make about the Russian investigation. We've certainly seen what a ineffective investigation would look like, because that's basically what happened in the House with Chairman Devin Nunes, who seemed to do everything he could to try to drive the investigation into a ditch. Now, maybe he thought he was doing that for the right reasons. I don't know, but it certainly didn't come off well. And firing an FBI director doesn't come off well either, because there are a few government bureaucrats that Americans give, I think, more respect to. But the FBI director, the CIA director, maybe the National Security Advisor, which is, but as the guy who runs the NSA, these positions tend to have the support of the American people, and they are typically apolitical in their viewpoint. One of the facts that everybody basically, one of the things the Trump administration was sort of banking on with the firing of Comey is that everybody would approve of it, because everybody had some sort of anger about Jim Comey one way or the other. But that's actually probably a sign that Comey was doing his job well. The fact that he had ticked off all sides, which meant that he was basically beholden to none of them. And that's going to be the end of my Comey spiel here in episode 122 of LEGO Marvel Avengers. See you next time for something lighter.